So first, thank you. So first up, I'd like to bring out Mr. Jason Mitchell from the cast. All right, Jason, come on in. All right. Mr. O'Shea Jackson Jr. O'Shea Jackson Jr. You're gonna sit on the far right there. Yep. Right there. All right. Mr. Corey Hawkins, come on up, sir. Esteemed director of the film, F. Gary Gray, ladies and gentlemen. F. Gary Gray. And producer of the film, with no introduction needed, Mr. Ice Cube. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey now. All right, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having us.
So we're gonna have a nice little moderated discussion. I'm gonna open it up to Q&A for the audience. We'll have a nice little, about 1 hour or so conversation, so hope you don't mind with that. And my first question to the group, whoever wants to go first, why did you say yes to the story of Straight Outta Compton?
To me, it was just the perfect time to tell this story. So many people have been entertained off the N.W.A. family tree for the last 25 years.
Sir.
And, it was just like, it's some people that don't even know I rap, you know what I mean, that's out in the world. And so we wanted to show them the origin, where it all started, what we went through, and what we had to kind of endure just to be ourselves. And, to me, it's a great American story. It's a slice of life. We want to show people people know the when and the where. We wanted to show people why. Like, why did we make this kind of music? And it was all because of the environment that we grew up in Compton, South Central LA, Watts, Long Beach. And, to me, it was like the perfect story. It's juicy enough to be a movie. So it had all the ingredients for a great film.
And same question to director.
Oh, well, for me, I love a challenge, and this movie is something that, kind of fits in that category very easily. I've never done a biopic before, and it's, kind of one of those things where when you get a chance to kind of take off your world-building hat in the world of fiction and put on your journalist hat and historian hat, this is an amazing story. If you break it down, there's rags to riches, there's triumph and tragedy. There's a lot of universal things that people can really kind of tap into, no matter where you're from. And so as a filmmaker, I gravitated towards this. And even beyond that, I felt like it was personal to me, and I feel like it's personal to me because I grew up in this environment at that time, not too far from Ice Cube, and was involved with their careers once they left N.W.A. and directing their music videos and things like that. So it was the perfect time for me, and it's arguably the most important film of my career.
Awesome, thank you so much for that. I have a question about casting for the film. Obviously, we have these great gentlemen here who played the lead roles of the film. And I had a question about casting. So I've read somewhere you said that this was a full circle moment for you in this filming, and authenticity was key to the casting process.
Sure.
What made you say yes to these three gentlemen for these roles that they were able to play for this film?
Just hands down their performances. For Jason, he has a lot of experience, in New Orleans, but in the streets, and he brought a great performance. But it also, I could tell that he really had a lot of experience, a lot of experience that I could use and help create Eazy-E. One of the biggest things about casting that role is not only his performance, but his street credibility. And so with Jason, he has, a lot of street credibility, and also he's a great actor. With Corey, you know, he has a different background. He, you know, went to Juilliard and was doing Broadway and Shakespeare and things like that. And he came and completely transformed into Dr. Dre. And so that was a thing that was so, it's just, he just jumped off the screen in a way that no one ever had regarding these auditions, and it was great. And for Shay, you know, he worked the hardest. You know, he worked the hardest to get the role, and I'll let them tell you about their journey, but authenticity was the key, and they brought it.
And to the cast, actually, I wanted to ask that question. What was that journey like? How did you guys become these characters that we are so happy to get a chance to see you pretty soon here?
Well, I would say the hardest part about this entire project was the prep. You know, we put so much time into prep. I auditioned for this role for over 2 years before, you know, getting called back. Different acting coaches. Aaron Spicer, he works with Will Smith. Susan Batson works with Nicole Kidman. And once I got selected, even worked with Dustin Felder, who works with Will's kids. So I've had a collective effort, 3 different teachers, 3 different techniques to really form one project. And, you know, I definitely couldn't do this without them. And it led to a chemistry test where I meet these two right here. And, you know, I had never done a chemistry test. I never, you know, this is my first go around. And I walk in there and I go to meet the people that are around. I see a Jerry curl. I'm gonna go say what's up. So I head over to dude and I ask him, you know, I introduce myself. How you doing? I'm O'Shea. You going for easy? And he says, no, I'm going for Cube. And then, you know, after further review, you know, I see what kind of soup I am in. You know, it's a different kind of setup. The competition,
the gumbo with the same ingredients.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's 2 other cubes there, so the pressure was always there. And, you know, once I booked the role, it was a weight lifted off my shoulders. But even then, I knew the real work had to start. I had to look 17. I went on a strict diet of dirt and you know, grass and diet water, and you know, I lost 15 pounds in 24 days of CrossFit training, and you know, shout out to PJ Stahl. And we recorded the entire album. We all went through our own separate boot camps. These guys can attest to their hard work, but you know, nothing about this film was easy. But great morale makes great movies, and the chemistry I have with these guys and the rest of the cast, it shows in our film. And you know, it's all a test to the techniques that we had to go through during prep.
For me, I'm like Gary said, I was at Juilliard and just doing Broadway, Shakespeare in New York, and I'd heard about it. And you know, my agent was like, you know, this movie Straight Outta Compton's about. I'm like, dope, like that's cool. Like, how can I get in there? Like, what role can I play? He's like, go in for Dre. I said, oh wait. I said, come on, Dr. Dre. And so he was like, yeah, you know, we got the audition set up and everything. I said, listen, I'm not going in for it because first of all, I don't look like him, I don't sound like him, I don't think I act, you know what I mean? I just don't think I can do that. The same like things that get in your head as an actor. You get in your own way, right? So he was like, okay, but I'm gonna set up the appointment. I said, no. Called me back 8 o'clock that night. He's like, the casting director called and said you didn't come in. I said, I told you I wasn't going, bro, because but you know, I knew that this project was gonna be special because of who was involved, because Gary was involved, and Cube was involved, and Dre was involved, and the other, you know, members of N.W.A. and Eazy's widow, and you know, and so one thing led to another. I Skyped with Gary, and then ended up, you know,
Killing it.
Thank you, man. Flying out to L.A. to do the studio test, and he don't run studio tests like normal people run studio tests. Like, he had about 5-6 cameras rolling on for one setup. You know, and it was crazy. It was wild, but it was surreal. And all I remember thinking was, you know, looking back to the time when I was doubting myself. Then while I was in it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to go on this. You know what I mean? I'm ready now. I'm hungry. I want it. And then we linked up and the work began. But there was so much work before we could even start the prep work, before we could even start principal photography. So we'll talk about that, but you know.
Well, for me, I was kind of like in a situation where I felt like, where I had done a couple of acting projects here and there, but I was like kind of day playing, because I'm from New Orleans and I never even, been to California or nothing like that. But it kind of started to pick up, in my acting career. And I done 2 movies with Mark Wahlberg. I did Broken City and Contraband. So I was kind of like on the radar for Universal. They was like, this kid just a good dude. Like he work hard, he come, he do his work, and he chill, So they was like, maybe we should read him for a lead. So, they sent it to me and I was like, Easy E. Ooh. Ooh. So, needless to say, I took the opportunity serious. I did my homework, did what I could. And I really just went and like put my foot in it, And the lady I read with, she's a lady named Megan Lewis from New Orleans. And she's normally like really, really like straightforward and really serious. She's really Boston. If anybody from Boston, she's really, really Boston. So I'm like, And I went and read with her and we had this different kind of vibe in the room that day. I remember her giving me like the double high five and all that, and she walked me to the car. I was like, this is dope, So I was already feeling good about it, but then it took them like almost a month to call me back. So I was like, maybe I didn't get it, Then when they did call me back, they were like, Gary wants you to fly out, for a callback. And I'm like, wait, can't you still like not get the role when you get a callback? They was like, yeah, and I was like, well, the way my bank account's set up, I don't know. Y'all might got to get back at me, And it was like, well, we'll call you back, see what we can do about it. So they called me back like 30 minutes later and was like, man, Gary loves you. He wants to Skype with you. I'm like, for real? All right, so I went down there, did it, and we Skyped for like an hour and 17 minutes and probably some seconds, but I was like, whatever, so I just remember, because I had to do this scene where I'm like breaking down, so I'm like crying, and he's like, breathe, but I'm like, finally, like, I'm not nervous no more. Well, the audition's over now, so I feel like I gotta breathe, and I'm like, I just bust out laughing. So I hear all these other voices bust out laughing, and I can only see his face on the Skype like, I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? So I never hear the words I booked, So like later on they call me and they're like, we're gonna fly you out for a studio test, and that's where I meet these guys. But unlike them, I was the only Easy E. But in my mind, I'm thinking, man, maybe they too big to have to come to a studio test like this, I'm like, so I'm like, I'm on full pit mentality. I'm like, I never thought I got the role. So we're going through like days of it, but through that I could like feel this chemistry going on between us. It was like Gary could throw something in the mix and we was like piranhas at it, what I mean? It was crazy. And, shout out to the other guys who didn't get it, but we already knew what was up. We already knew, and we went into a boot camp that was something crazy. Cause unlike this guy, unlike the dirt and lemongrass that he was eating, we had to eat 4,000 calories a day, boxing training, then weight training. Then I had to go learn how to, walk and talk like Easy E and perform and do all that and record, and then rehearsal, and then do it again the next day for 2 months. So yeah, it was for real.
So this next question is for Cube, obviously, and Gary. What was it like having N.W.A. on set with you guys during this process? Like, how was that experience reliving this story with your team, with the crew, and with the whole production cast?
I think that was, one of the funnest parts was to see them perform. And we got this big arena full of people, and they was actually gonna get up there and do it for real. And I'd never been to an N.W.A. concert, so it's kind of cool, I was like, damn, and it was impactful, it was powerful, and I'm like, man, this is powerful for 2015. I can imagine how it was for 1989. So it was just a treat to see it, from afar and kind of and looking at us, but but actually be in the audience or by the monitors with Gary. And it was just one of the some of the most amazing giddy feelings that we've had with each other, as far as me, Ren, Yella, Dre, seeing them up there. We was like kids, man, and it was like we was like old times. So it was so fun. But I did feel like we was in a Back to the Future movie and shit. I felt like we was gonna change history if O'Shea wore the wrong hat and shit. Everybody started disappearing and shit. So we just it was just a great experience that I'll never forget. That we all went through the fire together and we bonded. I'm bonded with these guys just like I'm bonded with N.W.A. because they are N.W.A. now. For everybody who looks on the screen, who don't pick up a documentary, when they see N.W.A., they're going to see these guys. So they are us. They're an extension of us. So it's a beautiful thing.
Great.
That's right. So was the question, how was it having the real N.W.A. on the set?
Yes.
Well, for me, it helped out a lot. For me, the best filmmaking is, when you have someone at the helm who just gives you details and really pays attention to detail and just does all the research and the homework to transport you to another time and another world and make you feel like you're there. And so to have N.W.A. on the set, for me, it was great because I'm getting firsthand accounts of all these moments in the studio, all the fights, all the great moments, all of debauchery, all of the stuff that was going on. And so when you watch the movie, you really get a sense that, wow, these guys were brothers. You got a sense of the anger when they were angry. And it wasn't something that you just, Google? And you know what I mean? Like sometimes, I don't want to say it like that, but I'm just saying like you can go beyond, Google's dope. Don't get me wrong.
Of course Google's dope.
Hashtag Google's dope.
No, but I'm saying you get details from the guys that you can't get on Wikipedia or online, and those details really help the movie feel authentic.
We did Google a lot too. So.
And funny you should ask that. So we are a technology company. We are at Google, right? What would making this film in like 1995 or 91 would have been like with the access to social media? And how do you compare that today to what we have today? Like, what do you think N.W.A. and the story would have been like with technology and with social media the way it was today back in the N.W.A.'s days?
Oh man, everything would have just happened a lot faster. And I can't imagine that because it happened fast for us. See, we thought we was just gonna be locals. We thought our music was so rough and so underground that we would just be, underground artists and never really get to this level. And so everything would have happened at a breakneck speed. It's interesting to think about. I'm kind of glad it happened the way it did, because you never know, one little change, one little thing in history, and might not turn out like this. And this is a story, and I kept mentioning that the reason we want to tell this story is because we all have been entertained by N.W.A. for over 25 years. No N.W.A., there's no Boys in the Hood movie. No Boys in the Hood movie, no Friday movie, which Gary directed and we did together. You know what I'm saying? And so these things all coincide with each other, and it's a great origin story because people love Snoop and Eminem and all these things, and they bumping their beats and all that, and we wouldn't have none of that without N.W.A. We might not even have Shay Jr. without N.W.A. So, everybody.
What the world is that?
Yeah, so, it's really all about showing people where it came from and celebrating it and making people a part. The way Gary shot it, you feel like you in the studio with us. You feel like you rolling with us. you feel like you're being produced by Dr. Dre. So, these are experiences that we understand, we felt, and we want the audience to experience what we experienced. And, Gary did a magnificent job in capturing, everything that we wanted to show.
Thank you.
And this question is for you, Gary. It felt like L.A. and South Central Los Angeles and Compton were actually the sixth, member of N.W.A. in this film. It felt like that was actually a character of the film and the way that you really took care of filming and doing those scenes there. What was that process like, actually filming most of the movie, particularly in the Los Angeles area and Southern California area?
Well, it was crucial. Like you said, at Los Angeles, Compton, South Central, they do feel like the sixth member of N.W.A. And it's because all the things that happened in that area, in that era, really forged N.W.A. All the good stuff, all the bad stuff, all of the things that they went through, and you hear it in their raps. You hear it in their poetry. And so being able to open up and show not only wide shots of Los Angeles with the palm trees and, how kind of beautiful but dangerous it is, being able to tap into the street culture with the custom cars and even our atmosphere, our extras, all these things lend itself to making it feel like Los Angeles in the 80s. And it's just about authenticity. When you watch a Scorsese movie and he does a casino, Vegas is a character in the movie. And all of the different things that you get, the nuances from Los Angeles really help serve the story. And that's why it was important.
So this question is for the castmates. What were your favorite moments from set?
I'm glad you said favorites with an S.
Favorites with an S.
Yeah, that's so dope. But they had so many good moments, But like Cube said, like he never been to an N.W.A. concert before, and I'm not a rapper, so I never done a concert before, But I went through this process of kind of like being like y'all on TV, to being like super confident when I'm around these guys. They were the same people who were like, y'all are the dudes for the job. You know what I mean? But until you see somebody come out the character that you normally see them in, it don't really feel like that, But when we did those concerts, you could see them like, you could see them in that zone, like their eyes light up, and you like, wow, that's what's up, So like, it was good, It's like that type of feeling that you have. You get to like really live that rock star life for a minute, you know what I mean? It was a fearless moment, and it was super dope,
Who's seen the film? All right.
Ooh, y'all in for a surprise.
yeah. All right. Well then, that changes things a little bit. One of my favorite times on set, it's in the trailer. I'm pretty upset at a man in an office. I kind of take it out a little bit, But one of the highlights of us filming the movie was Paul Giamatti bouncing with a beanie and some gold ropes on to YG. Hitting switches. That Paul Giamatti was the veteran in the rookie locker room. He had things to say to all of us that build confidence in us. His Tom Brady. He ain't cheat though. He told me, he would tell me about his father, who was a famous baseball player. Like if you look him up, Mr. Giamatti has a huge role in baseball. But he was telling me the amount of pressure he would feel if he had to play his father in a role. So he told us all things that built up something in us, and I appreciate everything from Paul.
It was probably, I think it was definitely the concert scenes. It just had to be the concert scenes because, again, I'm not a rapper either. Right. So, you know what I'm saying, to be up there. But the thing about Dre, he was sort of, on the tables back in the day. So it was just cool to be up there really like spinning and like, because I had to actually go through that and learn how to DJ, literally learn every single thing, every single producing, everything about it. But those were the moments that we really felt like N.W.A. And then to have, like you said, L.A. is like, and Compton is like a sixth character in the movie. You know, we had people bringing us plates on set of food and sitting on the rooftops and, you know.
Dre, hold my baby.
Yeah. You know, stealing Eazy-E's chairs. Like,
I come back,
you know?
like, I'm thinking most people would take the chair back. They take the whole chair. I'm like, Lord.
Really? It was
I
like,
feel you.
It was positivity though, you know. It was just a lot of positive energy, and it's funny because in the news and the media, everybody tries to say, oh, you know, all this, you know, hoot nanny, is that a word? All this stuff around,
Good word.
you know,
Hashtag hootenanny.
around the movie, you know, all this craziness around the.
Hootenanny.
You know, craziness surrounding the movie, but every day
We got a new nickname now. You are officially Hootenanny now. Yo,
Hootenanny
we gotta
Hawkins.
stop this right now and give you a nickname. Yo,
Yeah, man.
you hear what they
Hootenanny.
call me, but you got a
Hootenanny.
new, you have a nickname
Hey,
now.
yeah.
OG Dr. Hootenanny.
Hootenanny. I think I ain't heard that since like the Dukes of Hazzard 1983.
Oh man, I'm a know so.
Inside joke forever.
I can't even go on after that one. It was real positive, real positive.
Awesome. So question for you, Cube. Compton, that's where you're from, that's your city, that's your hometown. What does Straight Outta Compton, what does this movie mean for your philanthropic efforts that you're doing for the city, and how can this film success tie to those programs that you're running out there?
Well, you know, it's like, you know, Compton and South Central, Long Beach, it was like we was trying to really put the West Coast on the map. You know, before N.W.A, it was only one real West Coast rapper getting any light, and that was Ice-T. And so we was trying to inject some kind of pride into the city. Before Eazy-E really pushed for Compton, you know, people didn't even want to admit they was from Compton. You know, it was like, it was so bad, and everybody knew that it was such a raw area that people wouldn't even say they was from there. They would say they was from Carson. You know what I'm saying? Which is right by Compton. And so he injected pride, you know, by, you know, other people saying Brooklyn's in the house, Queens in the house. And we was like, yo, now Compton's in the house. And, you know, people wear Compton with pride now. I see my man with the Compton on his hat. So it's a badge of honor, and people know that there's talent there. And, you know, it's just really about giving that talent inspiration, showing people that we come off the same streets you do. And it ain't just Compton. It could be anywhere. It ain't got to be the hood. It could be the suburbs. Just do it. You know, just have passion and have a drive, have a commitment, and have some discipline. And you can get a lot of great things done. So that's what we really trying to push. And, you know, Dre has really stepped up for the city of Compton as well. You know, he's, you know, donating a lot of his, I guess, money from this new album to Compton. And, you know, we're figuring things to do for the city, as well as, you know, Eazy's kids. You know, his kids are left behind, you know, when he passed away. So we just trying to hold the legacy up. That's all.
That's great. That's beautiful.
Yeah, for me, I've worked with Dre over the last 4 years or so, and giving back to Compton specifically. But I have a youth center actually called the Tom Bradley Youth Center on Pico that I've adopted, and over the last decade, been instrumental in keeping that place up and going and running, and working with a lot of kids without parents. And there's a elementary school in Watts called 112th Street Elementary School, and also Vernon Day High School, where I put a film program in those places in order to show kids that they can do other things that's creative like they did. They picked up a pen, a pad, and a microphone. So, you know, we sent cameras and editing equipment and stuff there, and been doing that for quite a long time.
You know what's crazy? I feel like all you gotta do is touch one life, man. Like in with what what they're doing is it's powerful because it's a family tree, that they created. So, we're an extension of that, of their legacy, and hopefully this film, continues that too. But like, just what they've done, you know what I mean, in terms of giving back and just showing up. You touch one person, that person can touch millions. You know what I mean? So I just think that's huge.
And we can keep down all the hootenanny in the world.
Good luck, Corey. Good luck, Corey.
So it's been about 25 plus years since the release of F the Police. And this movie did such a brilliant job of depicting police brutality and what that element did to people in the cities of Compton, Los Angeles, and to people all over the country. What has changed? What do you think has changed between then and now, and what can we do to really elevate this conversation and support projects like Straight Outta Compton that are doing this as well?
Well, not enough has changed, and this movie really highlights that the more things change, the more they stay the same. I think what incites you when you see it in our movie is the fact that you know that these guys are trying to do the right thing. So the humiliation is that much more, and I think it's more humiliation is really the type of abuse that we highlighted. So, I just think we got to weed it out. And it's very funny, and I just don't understand it that a guy can go into a church or whatever, kill all these people, and they walk him out like he's the president, and bulletproof vests and shit, and it's like, whoa. And then the little 18-year-old kid that mouths off at the cop, he's the one with the black eye, the busted nose. So I just think they need to refocus their anger on real criminals that do real crime. If you want to beat up on somebody, beat up on the child molester, you know what I mean? Not the kid that's a little drunk coming from his, coming from the party or whatever. So, these things, it's just a mentality that we gotta correct. Okay, now, I think the solutions are more body cameras, more dash cams, all this stuff, just to be able to hold people accountable, be able to see the real picture of what went down, and just hold people accountable. Everybody crossed the line every now and then. Even regular citizens cross the line. So when they cross the line, you just hold them accountable, and it's starting to happen. And I don't think no cop want to go out in the day and then end up on CNN later that night. I don't think nobody want to do that. So I just think, those kind of things are helping officers think twice. And I hope our movie helps people to think twice, that you can't paint our community with a broad brush and think that we're all the same. For all the statistics that they show about the crime in our community, 40% this, 30% that, just know that there's 60% that don't do it. There's 70% that don't do it. So it's more law-abiding citizens in the hood than criminals. And that's really what we're just trying to show, is that, don't paint us all with the same brush, and treat us fair like human beings. That's all.
Well, I think he really hit the mark. We've done a lot of talking, we've done a lot of protesting, and I think we should start focusing on solutions. I'm cautiously optimistic that a lot of the headlines are going to put pressure on our leaders and our leaders in law enforcement to make change in the culture. Because it's not just one cop at a time. You wouldn't do it if you didn't feel like it was okay to do it. You know, so we have to change the culture. You know, you come to Google, it's not just about a job, it's a culture. And that's why you guys are who you are and so successful. So in police and law enforcement culture, there has to be a shift. And that starts at the top, not just with the guy who's having a bad day. And so I think that if we consider putting pressure on our lawmakers to change federal law and make it a felony to tamper with audio recordings and video recordings and things like that. And so if you're caught up in that, you go to jail and you'll spend time with those criminals that you're trying to keep behind bars. Make it a real penalty, not just, a consequence of an investigation. Make it a real penalty. And I think if we stop burning down our cities, stop just talking about it. I mean, the conversation is good, but let's work on solutions. I believe there was a study in Rialto, California, where they put body cams and dash cams on every officer there, and basically the complaints went down by 88%. And the incidents went down by 60% over the course of actually just a year, I believe, or something like that. And so let's start focusing on solutions. Let's not just, channel our anger and conversation and protesting. Let's look at real solutions, and I think that's part of it.
My mother is a police officer, and it was funny when I got to set and she came to visit set. They were like, "You might have to recast you, bro." But she's a cop, but she's a fan of their music. She's a fan of them, She's a fan of the culture. She's a fan of like we were saying, positivity, and what she does in the community. And I think a lot of departments can take lesson from it. Is her and her partner, they started this thing in D.C. I'm from D.C. And it's called Friday Nights Out. And basically they set up these stages around different parts, the trouble areas in D.C. Where I grew up. And they allow kids to come out and, like, if you rap, you can get on stage and you have a place to do it. You know what I'm saying? If you sing, whatever. If you know what I mean? If you like to do art, they bring out artists and they work with the kids on Friday nights, the nights when people, can get in a little bit of trouble. They like to do that, and it's the police officers who are down there. So, she likes the art, so she gets up there and does it with them. And, it's little things like that that really change the community, and because they're supposed to be to protect the community. They're supposed to know when they walk the beat. They're supposed to know who live in this house and who live in that house, and understand. When you can understand and have that dialogue with the community, then you can open it up. You know what I mean? The possibilities are endless, and the possibilities for negativity that stop. You know what I mean? But I think that's just one little,
The one thing I'd like to add, too, is just let's not mistake. I don't want anyone to be mistaken about our story and the message within the story. This is not an anti-cop movie.
Right.
It's an anti-criminal movie. Excessive force is a crime.
Right.
And ultimately, we know there's a lot of peaceful warriors out there that put on a badge, put on a gun, and that will help us. And I think most of them fit into that category. So for all the good cops that are out there, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the people who have the propensity to go out overboard and do what they're doing. That's what we're complaining about.
Yeah. Let's not get it twisted. Somebody breaking my house, I'm calling the cops. I'm not calling the homies. Not calling Gary. I'm calling the cops. So, don't get us twisted. We just want to clean up a couple of missteps, a couple of little over-aggression, just want to clean that up. But, we're not anti-law enforcement by no means. No means.
So we're going to start lining up people in the audience for a Q&A. So if you have some questions, please start lining up now. And I wanted to wrap this up today. You guys, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you guys
Thank you for having us, definitely.
Google
guys, please
McDougal.
give a round of applause to our cast and crew. Straight Outta Compton. And my last question is a quick rapid fire. You're gonna start with straight out of, and you're gonna tell me your answer. So, ready? And I'll go around. So, straight out of Long Beach.
Compton.
South Central.
Washington, D.C.
Answers.
And I'm straight out of New Orleans.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna take questions from the audience.
Hey guys,
Hey.
Hey.
where I come from, hootenanny's a real word, just so
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
And hats off to Juilliard. Major accomplishment. Love that you did that. And seeing you here with these guys, it's absolutely amazing too. So if y'all didn't hear the first, hoot nanny is a real word where I come from.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to use it every day.
Mr. Cube, Your Highness. I love it.
Don't do that.
In
Don't
all
do that.
seriousness.
Oh, God.
In all seriousness, like when I saw this coming today, I heard you guys on Jason Ellis a couple days ago, which fascinating interview that y'all did with him on Sirius. But everybody was stunned that I was coming over here to talk to y'all, at least on my team. So is there any chance I could get a picture with y'all to prove I was actually here?
We only taking one picture, and it's yours. Come on up. We'll take yours of it. One
Yes,
picture.
clap.
All right.
Clap, Googlers.
They can't believe you up here causing all this hootenanny.
Everybody say hoot nanny.
Hoot nanny. Hashtag hoot nanny.
So maybe you'll take two people. No, I'm just joking. So this question actually is for Dr. Hootenanny. No, I'm just kidding.
Dr. Hootenanny.
We gotta keep roasting. We're gonna keep the
Shots
roasting
fired.
going, man.
Good.
We gotta keep the roasting going. You know it's not gonna end for a long time. You gotta understand that. First of all, I just want to say, Raider Nation. Real talk. We out here, always and forever. So I'm from Southern California, born and raised in Barstow, and grew up really truly with hip hop as everything that pretty much got me to the place where I am now. And music like Express Yourself and Lethal Injection and all these incredible albums that you created had so much to do with where I am today. So I just wanted to hear a little bit about all of your musical influences and what really inspires you and inspired you in your role.
I'm completely inspired by him. You know, it was all about, you know, a lot of people didn't want me to get the role, but he wanted me to get the role, and that's really what I needed. He's had my back forever. You know, I just wanted to make sure I had his back on something, and everything, you know, as far as what I'm doing in my career in film and whatever I choose to do further in music is to further build on this empire that he started, you know, and I'm just thankful that I'm given the opportunity to do so, and you know, I'm gonna make it rock.
Well, I'm a music dude, man. I'm a really, really, really good fan to have, you know. And I'm like, I kill it in the shower.
Awesome.
I'm one of them dudes, you know what I mean? Like music is a part of my life, you know, and it make everything go together for me, you know. And as far as like Straight Outta Compton goes, by us re-recording the whole album, I think it put me in a different mind frame of where I am today, you know, because I kind of view us as like the old N.W.A, like, you know, the situation they were in, because it's so much controversy that's around this movie and all that, but it's still like a super positive thing that we're doing. No matter what may come out of it, it's still words and it's still art that we giving them, you know, and it's like it's cemented in that forever. You know, so for me to be a part of that is like, it's the best, to say the least, you know. So yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm just a fan of music. So if it sounds good, if it's honest, if it's, you know, coming from where you come from, then it's good. I rock with it. But in terms of like just inspiration and playing this character, I just look up to these guys now. You know, it's like I really see where they came from, and I see what they're doing now, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be a movie mogul. You know what I mean? I want to own a business. I want
to be a billionaire.
So freaking bad.
It's so crazy, like, to see the possibilities. You can do it, you know? And it's just great to be a part of this family tree. So
My musical influences, George Clinton and Parliament, Funkadelic. You know, they really showed us how to not care and be yourself, you know, and just do what you feel. And, you know, they so, you know, light years ahead of their time. Still, you know, that music is still intricate and, you know, complex and free of any kind of chains or musical, I guess, parameters. You know, they just do what they feel. And so, you know, George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, Roger Zapp, James Brown, you know, these guys are, they are Blueprint, and, you know, we are an extension of what they have done. You know, you got P-Funk, you got G-Funk, you know, so there it is.
For me, I always kind of just loved the artists that just stood up and had the courage to go against the grain. And Marvin Gaye made an album called What's Going On when he was making ballads, and he just stood up and said, you know what, there's so many things going on around me. I can't just talk about love stories and things like that. And that's an album that he got a lot of problems and a lot of, you know, flack for creating and then, you know, then putting it out, but it's a classic. And I'm not just saying this because Cube is here, but he made an album like that called Death Certificate, where he talked about the social ills around where we grew up, and just stood up. And with all the controversy and all the judgment that came, I'm inspired by artists that stand up and even in the midst of all of the pushback and the criticism and the controversy, and speaks to what we go through. And Marvin Gaye is, you know, my number one. And, you know, Cube doesn't notice, but, you know, he definitely inspired me as well. Now he knows.
So I am just so excited that you guys are here, like, presenting to this audience. I'm just so glad that we had this opportunity to see you and listen to you in your actual, like, perspectives. And to that end, just real quick, Q, I cannot believe I'm addressing you. The person who wrote No Vaseline, because that was insane. Blew my mind as an 8th grader, like, it was crazy. But the question that I do have is for Cube and Gary. How do you feel about people taking your work kind of out of the context that it's in and enjoying it, like mainstream America enjoying it, but not really understanding what it's about or where it's from? Like the example with Bye Felicia, how that's become like a great phrase for everyone to use, and then they don't really know that it's from Friday or who Felicia was.
Thank you.
So...
Man, that kills me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you finish, but that kills me.
Right.
You know, that's ridiculous to me.
So how do you feel about things that when it happens like that, when it's co-opted by like the mainstream culture?
You know, I don't mind as much, you know, because I figure the cool people will know what I'm talking about, you know, and everybody else need to catch up. You know, that's how I feel. It's like a painting, you know, once you put it on the wall, everybody's gonna have a different kind of interpretation of what you were trying to say or do, and that's fine. That's what it's all about, you know. I can't tell you what to think about my song. You know, you gotta tell me what you think about my song. You know, all I could do is do it how I feel it. And you know, with N.W.A, I don't wanna say that we was, you know, this super positive political group that went to go politically change the world. No, we had a lot of records that was just straight raw and probably wasn't positive at all, but they was honest. And I think that's why people love us, because we was honest. We wasn't worried about that part. We wasn't worried about the people that didn't like us. You know, we was just worried about what we liked. And you know, a lot of more people was on our side than against us, and that's why we still here. So, you know, it doesn't bother me at all that people, you know, misinterpret anything that I do.
You know, it's all art, like he said. You're just expressing yourself. So I couldn't put it any better than Q put it. You just express yourself and let it be what it's gonna be, and that's it.
The people who don't know that Bye Felicia is from Friday are the same people who on Twitter say, oh man, Kanye is gonna blow this Paul McCartney dude up. Or man, thank God Katy Perry found new artists like Missy Elliott for the Super Bowl halftime. They probably, you know, those people will probably watch Straight Outta Compton and be like, oh, this should be a real group. You know, this is... So, you know, that's my piece on that.
Nice.
So real quick, I just want to thank you guys for coming by.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm straight from Compton, actually. I grew up on Mail Avenue,
Yeah,
Emerson
yeah.
Elementary, Roosevelt Middle, all that stuff. So I have a question specifically for Cube and for Gary. When I was growing up, a lot of like my friends and stuff really bought into gangster rap, and they kind of figured that there were really only two options, right? It was either going to be music or it was going to be sports. And like I've tried to go back to the community just to tell them about, well, you know, you could do programming, you could do, you know, other kinds of arts, you know, you could go into medicine, all that kind of stuff. Like, what would you guys say to maybe those youth in Compton, Long Beach, you know from where we're from, that think that music and sports is their only option?
Well, I like to speak to that just because I grew up in South Central LA and I don't have a degree. I didn't go to college, and I went into film. You know, I didn't, do all the things that, or at least I didn't feel like I had limited options. You know, I just found something I liked and I just stuck with it. And you can get into program or whatever you want to get into. And I was on the streets. You know, part of the reason why a lot of the work we've done together feels authentic is because I was really there and either witnessed it or was involved in it. So you can make a transition. It's about what you create. You can create your own universe. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's real. And I've, like right now I'm super nerding out on model airplanes, and I'm building, seriously. And no.
It was telescopes before this, guys.
It was. I mean, I've gone through a few phases, studying the surface of the moon and things like that. And then I build my planes and drones and cameras and I just started flying airplanes. So you can, be wherever you're from and then just have the courage to make the transition. I love what Cube's done, where he's gone from, gangster rap to political rap and back into movies and to, giving people opportunities. He's a family man, and he's not afraid to stand up and say, I'm gonna make the transition regardless of what you think. You can judge me, it doesn't matter. So from people from Compton or wherever you're from, just don't be afraid to be judged. It's okay.
And it's all kind of, here's what I try to stress, that it's, whatever industry you love, there's 1,000 jobs around that industry. You don't have to be in front of the camera. Matter of fact, the cameraman told me when I was shooting Boys in the Hood, he said, I've been sitting behind this camera 35 years. I shot everybody. I see him come and go in front of me. I'm still here. So sometimes the jobs that are the real jobs is behind the scenes. So we got to just encourage, everybody's not gonna be the player or be on stage, but man, everybody needs a light man, an engineer, a coach, a agent, so there's a million different jobs that's surrounded around their dreams that they should start. A lot of guys start at the bottom and end up at the top. It's one coach used to coach the Heat, still do. He started off doing the video playback. Now he the head coach. So
Bolster.
Yeah, so it's a thing where you gotta use your talents wherever they may lie to get you in the door. And they not, everybody's not gonna be, in front of the camera. It's all about finding where you can fit in the industry that you love, and how you gonna be happy at that. So, it's really encouraging people to look at all aspects of an industry that they want to get in.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your time.
Thank
today.
you.
I don't mind that.